Wir haben das Simen Shinches, Seif Lamed Hey. Last week we started the study of Graf Sharei. We saw that if something, a Graf Sharei is something that people are disgusted by it, they don't want it to be there. So even though it's Muktzah Machmas Gufay, it's something that you're not allowed to use it for anything. It's not a Klisha Malach Isser. It's Muktzah Machmas Gufay. You're not allowed to move it. Not allowed to Tzarech Gufay, not allowed to Tzarech Mechaymoy. But if it bothers you, the halacha is you're allowed to move it. You're allowed to touch the Graf Sharei itself and move it out. So the Graf Sharei was the bucket that would hold the tzoya, the excrement, and you're allowed to carry it out, even though that itself is a Graf Sharei. It itself is disgusting. The apid itself is disgusting. You're allowed to move it because people are disgusted by it. So Mechaber says in Seif Lamed Hey, Hafa Pisha Mutir, V'hoitzi Graf Sharei, V'apid Shomer Aglayim, even though you're allowed to carry it out, the Graf Sharei and the apid Shomer Aglayim, Oselach Ziron, you're not allowed to bring it back in, Ela Imkain, Noisim L'Teichon Mayim, unless you put water into it. So the whole het of Graf Sharei is only because you're disgusted by it. So you're allowed to carry it out because you don't want it in the house. Once it's outside, there's no het to bring it back in to use it a second time. It itself is Muktzah Machmas Gufay. So how are you allowed to bring it back in? So the Mechaber says the only way you're allowed to bring it back in is to fill it up with water. So now you're moving the water. So it's similar heter to Kikar Itinik we'll have later on. If you have a mace, you're allowed to put a Kikar Itinik on the mace. You're allowed to move the mace because of the Kikar Itinik. Same thing over here, you're allowed to put the water in the Graf Sharei and carry it inside because of the water.
It's not that you're covering over the Graf Sharei and making it non-Graf Sharei.
No, it's still a Graf Sharei. The Graf Sharei is still Muktzah in itself. You're allowed to carry it because of the water that's inside.
But even though you're not going to be using the water?
Yeah, you could use the water.
The water is not going to be... You're not
so we'll see in a second. The water has to be usable. If the water is not usable, then it's the water itself is also Graf Sharei.
Yeah,
you're allowed to bring it in.
Mixing with the Graf Sharei.
No, so we're saying the water is still usable. See, the Morgan Brown speaks it out.
Right. So when we talk about Graf Sharei, are we talking about the content or are we talking about the kli?
No, the kli is moist. The content also. But the kli is moist. Yeah, but the kli becomes moist itself. The kli itself.
Even if you've emptied out the contents?
Right, it's still moist.
Right.
It's still moist. The point to speak about here, we're talking about klicheres. That it's disgusting. You can't clean it well.
So
you can never clean it well.
Metal bedpan.
Yeah, if you have metal bedpan, it's not Graf Sharei. Metal bedpan, the bedpan itself, if it's metal, you clean it out. It's not Graf Sharei anymore.
So how would you put it?
Only something you can't clean. The klicheres where you cannot clean it. Correct.
So would the bedpan be a klish shnochte heter?
Yeah, the bedpan will be able to use in Shabbos to move it. The bedpan, you empty it, you clean it, and now it's not a Graf Sharei anymore. You bring it back in.
When there's Graf Sharei in it, it's a basis that ever had basis, no?
Yeah, it's a tiltum outside. It's a tiltum outside. It's tiltum outside.
What's that? When it has content inside, that is the Graf Sharei.
Well, no, because the Graf Sharei is the kli itself is disgusting. If it has disgusting something inside.
But we use it, let's say, for shells. Shells have no kli.
No, the shells themselves are a Graf Sharei.
Right.
They're the shells themselves.
Soya or
yeah, but we're not talking about moving the soya. You're not moving the soya.
No, but in the case of the bedpan.
Yeah, I'm saying, but you're not touching it. It's not the problem. It's something outside. To move the soya itself, which is inside, wouldn't be an issue. Because that's something outside. That's tiltum outside. So tiltum outside. If you have bones on a plate, you're allowed to move the plate and empty the bones because it doesn't become a bosses to the plate. We saw different reasons why in the Magen Avram that the plate doesn't become a bosses to the bones. So therefore, you're allowed to move the plate as tiltum outside, and it's mutter. Tzarech davar mutter means you don't want the bones. You want the tzarech davar mutter means you want it out of the way.
But on a klicheres, you do have that.
Klicheres is a Graf Sharei. So today, most of our kelim will not become a Graf Sharei, and they won't become muktzah.
So a plastic bedpan also?
Anything you can clean. Anything you can clean properly.
Red bucket.
The potty.
Yeah.
Child's potty.
Child's potty, all those things that you can clean properly is not called a Graf Sharei. Because once it's clean, you clean it out, you're not disgusted by it anymore. You'll leave it in your house without a problem.
graf sharei, and soil and shells is called still.
The cells themselves. Okay, we spoke about last time. If the shells are called a graf sharei, are you disgusted by it? No. Shells, you're not disgusted by shells.
But that's how you move.
That's
them.
muktzah. It's muktzah. It's a different problem. The question is, could you move shells directly with your hands? We came out that you can't. We came out that you can't. It's not a graf sharei. You're disgusted by it. Graf sharei means something you compel. You're disgusted by it. You have to take it out. It bothers you. So if you're compelled to take it out, if it's shells of pistachio nuts, let's say, you're not disgusted by it. But people play with it. After they eat and during the week, people play with the shells sometimes. You're schmoozing, you play with it. It's not something disgusting. So I don't know if you could move the shells directly. If it will be a graf sharei, you can move it directly. You don't have to worry about doing it tiltum and atzad.
Because it's disgusting. That's
Right. Graf sharei, the heter is to move the graf sharei itself directly.
And most of the time it's in a kli. That's why most of the time a graf sharei would be in a kli.
Not in a kli. The kli itself is a graf sharei.
Yeah, right.
Not in a kli. I mean,
Sometimes you have a graf sharei that's not even in a kli at all.
right.
Then you have to figure out how to get this graf sharei out of here.
No, you don't. Graf sharei, you're allowed to
Friday
move.
night you have a shol
A
zakh.
graf sharei, what's that? Graf sharei, you're allowed to move the graph itself without tiltum and outside. Here, the graph, the thing that's holding the tzaddik inside, it itself is a graf sharei.
Right,
It itself is a graf sharei. It's not in a kli. The kli itself is a graf sharei. So you're allowed to move the kli itself, even though the kli is muktzah.
So if you're taking out your garbage in a bag, that's tiltum outside.
Taking out garbage in a bag,
We've done that.
I don't know, you have to make the garbage bag is a graf sharei. The garbage bag itself is full of stuff inside of it.
It itself is gross too.
Yeah, so you clean it out, you can wipe it out, you can empty it and wipe it out. So it's not a graf sharei. The place can deal with the garbage bag as a graf sharei itself. I would say because you don't clean it out, you can't clean out the garbage bag and then the garbage bag itself becomes disgusting.
So the bin would be tiltum outside.
The bin
with a bag inside it.
yeah, that's tiltum outside.
There we go.
Yeah. Right, if you move the bin,
Yes.
that's a good example. You have those little bins on your counter
Right.
for the green the green bins.
Green bin, right.
The agreements, you have little bills on your counter. So inside that, it's a graf sharei, and it's muktzah. So, but a graf sharei, if you're allowed to throw it out, if you discuss it, but you're allowed to throw it out. But let's say you're not throwing it out. Let's say you just want to move it from one place to the next place on the counter. That heter would be that the container itself is not a graf sharei. There's a bag in the container. If you put the stuff straight into the container, let's say, and the container will become a graf sharei, then you can't just move it from one place to the next on your counter, because it's a graf sharei and it's muktzah. It's muktzah machmas mius. There's a heter, if it's bothering you, you're allowed to throw it out. But now that you have a bag in those little containers, so the container is really of tiltum min atzad to the bag, which the bag is a graf sharei.
In our modern interpretation of graf sharei is not necessarily something, or I'm asking, something that just smells, or it could also be something that bothers you just because of aesthetics, like it's just bothering you.
Yeah, graf sharei means you don't like it, you don't want it to be there.
Want in there.
Right, it bothers you.
You personally, or you have to be
Well, we talked about that.
You personally
Otherwise
have
you
to
can't
bother
be
you?
Jewish.
It has to bother you.
It doesn't bother my
It doesn't
wife.
make a difference. If it bothers you, yeah, it's a graf sharei for you. Yeah. So it has to bother you, not that you want to clean your house. It has to bother you that you're disgusted by lying there. Eggshells, let's say, could be a graf sharei. People are disgusted by lying around. But I don't know, pistachio nut shells are called the graf sharei. So even though you're allowed to carry the graf sharei outside, and you're emptying it from the soya that's inside of it, but how are you allowed to bring it back in? Bringing it back in is a problem. Now it's muktzah. Because don't forget, the kli itself was disgusting. Not like our garbage cans that you take out the bag and the garbage can is clean. We're talking about the thing itself is disgusting. So how do you bring it back in? So the Mechaber says you're allowed to bring it back in through putting water inside and bringing it back in. Says the Magen Avraham. Asanach Zirei?
Yeah.
Samach, right?
Yeah.
Last week we saw a Okay, let's see. Also lachziroi, the mois kolkach, the lechazi afil lechatzes by mana, ayin seif simin reish ayin tes, ayin seif gimel, the boy the biyad and mutal lachziroi. It's like this. The reason why you can't bring it back in, because it's mois kolkach, the kli itself is so disgusting. The lechazi afil lechatzes by mana. You wouldn't use that kli to cover something. That kli itself, after you empty the tsoya out of it, you would not use it for anything. That's why today, if it's metal and it's cleaned out, you wouldn't use it for something else. You're not disgusted to use it for something else. Therefore, it's not muktzah. Then I'll bring it back in. But if it's oid be yodoi, it's mutar lachziroi. So it gives a heter over here if you empty it and you don't put it down. You want to empty, you want to bring it back into the house and put it down.
As long as you're
it's mutar. As long as you're still holding it in your hand. As long as you never put it down. We saw right in the beginning of the simon that muktzah it's in your hand beheter, and now it becomes also to move it. So the graf sharei came into your hand beheter, you carried it outside, you emptied it. Now is when the issur comes. Now you're not allowed to move it anymore. You're still allowed to bring it back in because as long as it came to your hand beheter, you can put it down wherever you want.
Even without water.
Even without water. Yeah, even without water. Now says the Magen Avraham Seif Katan Samach Aleph, L'toich hamayim, v'dafik shem ru'yim adayim l'shtiyas behema. K'shehem begraf. Im loikein af hamayim grafein. It has to be that the water is still drinkable for an animal. But if an animal will not drink the water, so now the water has no use, so the water itself becomes a graf shel rei.
But wait a minute, are you allowed to wash it out before you put it in the water? Again, I mean, you have to wash it out. When you empty it out,
Right.
do you have to just fill up the water and take it in, or can you wash it out wherever you are?
You can wash it
Put
out.
water
If you wash it
for it.
out, then it's not muktzah.
Right.
Yeah, they put water and bring it back in.
There's no water anymore, then you're okay.
You can wash it out. No, I'm not sure you can wash it out because don't forget the graf sharei before you wash it out.
Because you basically overturn, let's say you have a
No,
bucket, right?
I don't think you wash it out. A graf sharei, if it's a metal thing, so it never became muktzah.
Right, okay, so then you're okay.
But if it's a klicheres,
Yes.
so that klicheres is even after you wash it out, it's still muktzah in itself.
Well, because
So davar mos. Even if you wash it out, it's still davar mos. So we don't use it for anything.
Right.
You still want to let the water back in. You want to rinse it out so you can bring the water back.
Yeah, but I don't feel I'll do that. I don't feel I'll rinse it out to put water in. That should be royal behema.
Yeah, but right.
Because the rinsing itself, I don't know if you're allowed to do. Don't forget that graf sharei is muktzah. The graf sharei is muktzah. Why? Because even after you wash it out, you're still disgusted by it and you will not use it for anything. Right, so that graf sharei is muktzah. I don't know if you'll have to wash it out. The bedpan today, it never became muktzah. Because it's not called a graf sharei, because you may have something disgusting inside of it, but once you pour it out, you wash it out, and now you can use it for anything you want. But something that's muktzah in itself, I don't know if you have a heter to rinse it out. Because the rinsing itself is being metaltal muktzah, which is awesome. Now it says, the Midas Hatzim Rabbi says, the Mashal the Tzvir Le'afil Ein Tzarech Lefanas Olav Shara Lachziroi. Even if you don't need to use it, still you're allowed to bring it back in. If you put water inside, you're allowed to bring it back in. Chmashkosa B'Shem Arash, V'ayin Shem B'Shem Arai, Shehiksha, Halal Le'omru, Kikar, Aitinuk, Ela Le'meis B'Vad. Chmashkosa Simin Shin Yud Aleph. So the Marai asked the Kasha that we only said Kikar Aitinuk for a meis B'Vad, meaning the whole heter to take something muktzah and put something on it and carry it that way was only a heter for mace. By a mace or matter kikar aitinuk. So is that take a davar muktzah? Move the davar muktzah because it has on it something that's not muktzah. That's a heter only the mace b'vad. Here, that's what you're doing. You have a graf sharei, it itself is muktzah. You're putting heter into it. Now you're moving the muktzah because of the heter that's inside. That's only by mace levad. We've had the opposite. You have muktzah on a davar heter, so you tilt them in that tzad as mutter. But here's not tiltum in tzad. Here you're moving the actual muktzah, you're moving the graf sharei, which is muktzah, because of the water inside of it. We don't find such a heter, says the Marai. That's his kasha on this heter. So now the Magen Avraham says, "V'li nira, the like hashamidi the kli shari. By a kli it's mutak mashachsafter el sifhei. So by a kli, by a mace, we say it's also to do it kikar tinnik only the meis levad. By a kli it's mutter. What does it mean by a kli it's mutter? So if you remember in the beginning of the Simish, the Seif, we had a mechaber. The mechaber said, "V'yesh matirim l'taltal kli shemalachta le'iser afilu mechamer l'tzel ha'idei kikar tinnik." We know kli shemalachta le'iser. You only allowed to move the tzarech kufay, the tzarech mekaymoy. How about mechamer l'tzel? For the kli itself, you're not allowed to move it. Says the mechaber in Seif, "Yesh matirim." To move a kli shemalachta le'iser mechamer l'tzel ayidei kikar tinnik means you put a kikar tinnik on it, and now you're moving it just like by a mace. I thought we said that the only heter for kikar tinnik is the mace levad. The answer is that's a kli. You let him move it. The tzarech kufa, the tzarech mekaymoy. Once you have that heter, you have a heter of kikar tinnik also. Mashenken a mace, which is muktzah machmas gufoy, there's no heter to move it. I the kikar tinnik, only a mace. Something that's muktzah machmas gufoy not. That's the chiluk. The question is, what do you mean over here? A graf sharei is muktzah machmas gufoy. It's a clear that's mos, it's muktzah machmas gufoy. So what's the heter? So the Machta Shaka throws in here at the end.
It's and either the Marai didn't know Seif Hay, or it comes out, or
no, the Marai knew Seif Hay, but he held.
And he held
it's a Mokta Machmas Mias. It's Mokta Machmas Gufoy. Yeah. So you don't have heter.
So then, what's the teretz of the
Magen
Magen Avram?
So the Magen Avram said, look at the Machta Shaka, and he says the last few lines here.
Where the max is a shekel?
The Machta Shaka, at the bottom of the page, right before Seif Katan Samach Beis. It's on this Seif Katan Samach Aleph. It's a long piece. Lafini is that, you see?
Yeah.
So he's
the second column.
the Marai has a kasha from there. The there is a muktzah machmas kufa. There's no heter kikar tinnik. So he says over Lafini is that the einay doimuk lemenaira. Tasuru talta ben tzarech kufa ben tzarech mekaymoy. The chaim batal tar is clear menu. It's not a clear at all. However, graph. Halatzarech kufoy mutter l'taltaloi. Dahainu lefanes olav. Afilu hu mola yachal haitzi reiv lefanes olav. Im kein lebatal taris clean menu or lechen hutai de kikar tinnik. He says a graf shall rei, even though you're not allowed to move the tzarech kufoy mekaymoy, but there's certain times you are allowed to move it. When are you allowed to move it? When you need to use it. You need to use the kli. So you're allowed to empty it, and now use the kli.
But then it's covered abrios.
Yeah, it's covered abrios, but you're allowed to move it for that. So since there's a heter at some point to move it, the Magen Avram says that therefore kikar tinnik is mutter.
Well, hold a minute. Then, according to the Machta Shekel, if you're dealing with the Kli Cheres, then you wouldn't be able to move it because there's no place, there's no time where you have a heter. But you can't make it into a kli that you want to use at any point.
You could if you have to use the kli lefanes olav to use it for the bathroom. You're allowed to empty it and bring it back in and use it.
So you're saying if you have a use for it, you can still...
Yeah, if you have a use for it to the bathroom. I mean, for anything else, you're not allowed to move it. Tzarech kufoy, you want to move it. If it's tzarech kufoy, you need a place. You're not allowed to move it. That's tzarech mekaymoy. Tzarech kufoy, want to use it for something else, you're not allowed to move it. But there is one time you're allowed to move it. If you need a lefanes olav, you're allowed to move it. So here's the machlekes, the Marai and the Magen Avram. The Marai holds that that's not called making it into a kli. You have a heter to, it's a long machlekes. You have a heter to move it, something that's not a kli. Because since it's muktzah machmas kufoy, it's called that it's not a kli. You have the heter to move something that's not a kli. That's what the Marai means. The Magen Avram says, since you have a heter to move it at some point, we give it a din kli. It has a din kli.
What is the it?
The graph sharei, the graph itself.
The bucket.
The bucket.
Bucket. The oven.
The oven. So you're allowed to put water into it.
I don't understand. Why wouldn't it be a kli?
Because muktzah machmas kufoy.
So why would
it's muktzah machmas mias?
You can still have things that are muktzah machmas. Everything that's muktzah machmas kufoy is not a kli.
It's not called the Shem Kli b'nei Shabbos, so you can't move it.
So
anything that's more.
I understand the stone and I understand
yeah, but and something that has no use is not called a kli b'nei Shabbos.
It has a use. I mean, this is used for that purpose.
Right,
yeah, but it's not called a kli. Because you can't move the tzarech kufoy, you can't move the tzarech mekaymoy. Anything muktzah machmas to me is a candle. It's also kli. But it's muktzah machmas gufoy, so it's not called a kli b'nei Shabbos. It's not called a kli b'negei Shabbos.
So how do you explain the mechaber according to the Magen Avraham? Because if you still have a use for it, you can take it back into the Torah. So why do you need the water?
No, so that's the Magen Avraham saying that even if you're not going to use it, right? The Magen Avraham in the beginning says, "With the source of Rabbi says to Mashman Tzvilei, afilu ain't tzarich lefanes olav shari lachziroi."
Meaning you don't need to have water.
Right? You don't know that you're going to use it again on Shabbos.
Right.
Still, you're allowed to bring it in with water.
But why would you need a quantum to the Magen Avraham who says if you're going to give it a shem kli, even though
only if you need the fanes olav, then you're allowed to bring it back in.
But you bring it back into the bathroom, let's say, for example.
Yeah, but if you don't know you're going to use it, you're not allowed to bring it back in. If you don't know you're going to use the fanes olav, you're not allowed to return it to its place. When you need it, you're allowed to bring it in. But as long as you don't need it, you're not allowed to bring it back in.
So even if you're sure like it might be needed?
Correct.
It might be needed.
Even though it might be needed, you're not allowed to bring it back in.
It probably will be needed. Also not.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It says that's what it says. You have to actually need it.
So basically you have to leave it out there and then somebody needs to go,
then you bring it back in, so it'll come out. But if you put water in it, you're allowed to move it. So the Magen Avraham holds. Why? Because that's called a kli. Now it has a shem kli, since you're allowed to move it for that reason. And the Marai held it's not called a kli for that reason. So the Magen Avraham brings down Yam Shlomo Perikei, the Beis Sifhei Pasak, Simon Hei Pasak, Keveni Yeruchim, the Dafrik should tzarich lefanes olav shari lachziroi, or should tzarich lehoitzi b'yitzaya. The only time you're allowed to return it is only if you need it. But through Mayim, he doesn't let you return it.
Through mine, no. Through mine, he can return it any time.
No, he doesn't. He argues says he can't. He holds you can't. Yam Shlomo holds you cannot return out to Mayim. He holds like the Marai. Marai says that there's no heter. This is like kikar tinuk. There's no heter by graf sharei.
So according to the Marai, he wouldn't hold of this halach in the Shabbat.
Right, the Marai would not hold the heter of Mayim.
He doesn't hold the Mayim.
Correct. It says we say kikar tinuk, the meis bilvad, and even though we say the heter tzif hey by a kli, this is not called a kli. Marai would not be matthew to bring it in. Yeah, the Mishpur Lamai says machmer like the Marai, and he holds you can't bring it back in unless you need the fanes olav. Okay.
He holds that he passes with the Marai?
He passes with the Marai. If you look at the Mishpur Sif Chotin Kuf Lamed Ches. It says a Teichen Mayim, a Dafrik Shem Ru'uyim Adan Lishtias Behemo, the Imloikein Afa Mayim Grafim. Behine, mit Tatzam Shochanok Masha Fulai Tzorach Laitzi Baitzaya, ומהגליים שר להחזיר ידי מים. יש מחמירים, וזה כמו שחוצה בסייף, באים בספר אלי רבא שמכריע את אימו מוקם המשתמר, לא יכניסנו שלא לצורך. You should not bring it back in. If it's a mokam mishtamer that's washed, goes to steal it, you should not bring it in shaloi l'tzarech, meaning unless you need it lefanes olav.
No, even if you have
mayim. Yeah, even if you have mayim. Next, Sif Lamed Vav.
The Shartin brings it down.
Yeah, Shartin is Sif Khan Kufi Beis. Kufi Dal, I mean. You're down in Machlokes.
Yeah.
Okay, Sif Lamed Vav. Ein Eisig Graf Shorei Lechatchila. You're not going to make a Graf Shorei Lechatchila. The Hainu Lehevi Dava She'asel L'mois. You can't bring something in that's going to end up being a disgusting by it. Kedei L'hoitziyai. To move it out afterwards. L'chshayimois when you get disgusted by it. Now what's this case over here? So we look in the Magen Avraham Sivkon Samech Beis Kedei L'Hoitziai Halosha Eini Meduktek Ta'afilu Loi Asa Kedei L'Hoitziai Asa. You're not doing it Kedei L'Hoitziai. You're not bringing it in order to make it a graf sharei so you could move it out. You're not doing that. You're not doing it Kedei L'Hoitziai. The Lashon says the Magen Avraham is laughed after. What it means is, if you know it's going to end up being a graf sharei, then it's also to do it. It means Eitzim Graf Sharei Lechatchila is the Gemara. He brings the case from the Gemara brings down. Taminim b'Gemara. Ein mezamen ha'akum b'Shabbos b'shum shirei kaisais sheyayin nesach tav Graf Sharei. Ein b'Seif v'hu adil l'chol g'yetze b'zer. So what it means is, the Gemara says you're not allowed to invite a guy to your house. He's going to drink from the kais. There's going to be leftovers in the kais of wine, and now it's muktzah because it's a yayin nesach. So you're not.
Yayin nesach is by definition a graf sharei.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really disgusting, it's just.
No, it's disgusting. You don't want it there in the kais.
Right, but it's not because it's so different than what we were eating.
By someone's leftover food is a graf sharei for you.
No, but so is it an Indian of yayin nesach?
Or is it leftover food?
No, not because of yayin nesach. No. Leftover food. It comes.
That my nafkamina between a guy and a.
No, because your leftover food I give to an animal.
And the guys you wouldn't?
Because you're not allowed to. It's yayin nesach.
So you're back to yayin nesach.
You're back to yayin nesach.
Yeah, but that's why
so
it's also to move anything. There's no use for it.
No, right, but it's a yayin nesach din. In other words, let's say you didn't serve him wine.
Yeah, it's not about. There's food you give to the guy, right?
So it's unique.
There's food you have to serve to a guy.
Okay, so we're back to
Yeah, but the one yayin nesach is that you have no enough from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mele becomes a graf sharei.
And your wine becomes yayin nesach.
Right.
Yeah, it becomes a graf sharei. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is a yayin nesach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise you have enough from it.
It's leftovers?
We're using the same term.
Cooties.
The question is today's food called it's all leftovers. They're called the graf sharei for me.
Yeah.
You can throw it to the dog. You can throw it somewhere. But the answer we don't do that. We don't give out food to anybody, any animals. Right, so unless you leftover food, you throw outside, and they give it to the cats and the dogs. That's how graf sharei. But usually, when someone eats and leaves over food, that food will all disgusted by because it's somebody else's food, and therefore it's a graf sharei. But we don't have the problem anyway because everything's on plates, and anything that's on a plate you're allowed to move anyway. Kalachayad. So it's not a problem. Things they put straight on the table is a problem. So here it says, "Einos in graf sharei lechatchila." You're not allowed to make a graf sharei lechatchila if you know for sure afterwards it's going to be a graf sharei. The Biur Halacha says you're allowed to eat something, and if you're not sure it's going to be a graf sharei mesupik, then you're allowed to eat regular. And if it's leftovers, it's graf sharei, then throw it out. You don't have to worry about that. But something you know for sure is going to be a graf sharei. For example, someone takes an egg and he peels the egg, and he's not careful where he peels it, so he peels it straight onto the counter. That's called oitzin graf sharei lechatchila. You know for sure that after you finish peeling the egg, the shells are going to bother you, and you're going to want to throw it out. That's a perfect example of a graf sharei lechatchila. You're doing it, and you know it's going to end up being a graf sharei, and you're going to be allowed to move it because of graf sharei. Ain't no graf sharei lechatchila. You can't do that. What's the eitzah? You put it onto a napkin. You peel the egg onto a napkin, and now it becomes a tilta kalachayat. I'll tilt the kalachayat as mutter.
Or peel it directly into the garbage.
Or directly into the garbage. So remember, there are places in the hell that the egg, even on a napkin, you're not allowed to do it. Because you're not come to the head to tilt them outside. You should do everything directly into the garbage. But the Maisa, I think the most of the places can come out that you live your life normal, you peel the egg on a napkin, you bring stuff to the table, like some people they have to peel the pistachio nuts directly into the garbage, or you eat cherries, and the pits are graf sharei. You spit it out, or watermelon pits, all this is the graf sharei.
No, but we said those that also you have a little fruit left on the
yeah, you have fruit left on it, yeah,
okay.
Yeah, a little fruit left. But obviously the graf sharei, if you're putting it onto something else, then it's tiltum and atzad, and it's mutter. So you don't have to worry about it. You should be careful not to put it directly onto the table. Well, then you'll have to move it with your hands. There is a heter of graf sharei, but the chatchila ain't ois of graf sharei.
You put something a heter on it, so you can move it all together.
No, but if it's pit, then you put something heter on it. Let's wrap up the whole tablecloth. So that's anyway kalachayad.
So eating outdoors for those kinds of things.
Eating outdoors, if you don't put the garbage onto something that you can move a kalachayad, that goes into the category of einos and graf sharei lechatchila.
Even outdoors.
doesn't make a
If it falls
difference.
on the floor outside, and you're not going to worry about it.
No, then it's nothing. If you leave it there, it's not a problem.
So if you eating something, you throw into the disposable cup.
So it's Hilchah L'Chayad. It's mutter. That's mutter. But you should be careful not to put it directly on a counter or something. We have to move it, directly. And you'll have a head of grafs already to move it.
So you shouldn't deliberately make a mess.
Right. You shouldn't literally make a mess on the counter or anything is with the head to move you have to move the muktzah directly. That's the difference. When you have to move the muktzah directly, that's called the graf sharei. Ein noisen graf sharei lechatchila. If you do it in a way that you move it klachayad, that's not a problem.
The cup becomes disgusting anyway.
Yeah, you're right. If the cup becomes a graf sharei, that's not a problem. Yeah, but you could wash it. You can wash that out of the disposable cup.
I'm just thinking of people up with these sunflower seeds.
Yeah, put it in a cup. You can empty the cup and wash it out. Use it for something
If
else.
it's a normal cup, but if it's a disposable cup, you're not going to bother with.
Yeah, but you could. It's called a cup. You can't call it muktzah. You can easily wash it out.
Could.
You can easily wash it out of a disposable cup, and it's not a graf sharei. You have to have a napkin, tzchaka. A napkin, if you put stuff on it and it gets dirty and disgusting from it, the napkin itself becomes a graf sharei. That's a good child.
Good point.
If you take let's say the cherry pits and you spit onto a napkin,
It's like putting on the counter.
now the napkin itself is a graf sharei, because no one's going to reuse that napkin. I don't know. It's a good child. Maybe it's not also to do that. Put it directly onto a napkin. It has to be something that the thing itself doesn't become muktzah. So now you have one big graf sharei in front of you. The napkin, the pits, everything is graf sharei. I don't know. You can't
Even
do
a
that.
paper plate will do the same thing.
If you have what?
A paper plate.
Paper plate. Right, the paper plate, you can't wash it.
Absorb the junk.
Yeah.
Gross.
You can't wash it, that's not me.
So then even in shuls by kiddushes, they have the plastic tablecloths, and after everybody's finished, they just wrap up the whole
Well, that's
plastic
it. Take them outside.
tablecloth.
That's
So you have to know, I don't know. It's also a good child. It's a plastic tablecloth called the graf sharei itself. Because the plastic tablecloth, you're not going to reuse it.
Well, no, but
No,
you can. You can. What you can.
That's what you
wipe
could.
down.
They don't do that, they roll it up.
I know, but you could.
That's far out of
But you
experience.
could wipe off the
Yeah,
tablecloth.
you could wipe it off.
Oh,
You
so
can wipe it down. So then,
you
so
can
then, yeah.
theoretically do it.
Then the plastic tablecloth itself won't become a graf sharei.
Right.
If the plastic tablecloth itself will become a graf sharei, we do have sometimes, interesting question, you have sometimes a lot of the simchas. I didn't sit here so much. I remember when I grew up in New York, they had tablecloths that were two-sided. One side was plastic, and the opposite side was like a paper,
Yeah.
like a fancy paper.
Right.
And once someone spills it, you can't use it anymore.
Right.
But I wonder if that will become a graf sharei. One of those tablecloths will become a graf sharei. You'll have it then, and it's a graf sharei lechatchila. Oh, that's a good shaila to find out. Maybe that's why I stopped using it. I doubt it, but I know you're right. If the tablecloth itself becomes disgusting, they can't use it. So what you're doing basically is making a graf sharei lechatchila.
So you bring back their garbage bags.
Garbage bags are graf sharei. Yeah, but garbage bags.
So I want to take my garbage out, I have to take it out in the bin.
Why are you allowed to put garbage in the garbage bag? You're making a graf sharei lechatchila. And then you have to take out the garbage bag because it's a graf sharei. So why are you allowed to do that? Why are you allowed to put garbage in the garbage bag? It's a graf sharei lechatchila. You're making graf sharei lechatchila.
Right.
At the end, you're allowed to move it out because it bothers you. So that's called graf sharei lechatchila.
But the bag is not only for garbage, because you use it sometimes to wrap things, so it's not, the bag
garbage
itself is
bag?
not.
No, but you're making the garbage bag is a graf sharei.
You're making it though.
You're making a graf sharei.
Maybe you
That's an interesting question.
People don't generally.
Yeah, it's called a garbage bag. It's called a graf sharei.
Yeah, from Milchachila, yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to say that heter, the person was very busy. If you're allowed to take out a garbage bag, if you're allowed to throw it out, maybe you're not allowed to throw it out because it doesn't bother you. Open a new garbage bag next to it. What's the shaila? Tilt them on that side. Because all the person agree that a garbage bag itself is a graf sharei. You don't clean it out. It's disgusting. You're not going to use it for anything else.
But in the case of like Shalashudas,
Yeah.
they're taking the tablecloth off after Shabbos. So
Yeah,
this isn't
it's
the
not
only,
how-
yeah, so that's, I mean,
That's
the
not a
only
problem.
issue.
The only issue is if you do it on Shabbos. If you do it on
is if
Shabbos.
they took it off during
Right,
Shabbos.
if you can take it off on Shabbos. So why is the garbage bag not called of Oisin Graf Shrei L'Chachila?
When you do Kiddush and
That's a good question. Maybe it is.
They take it on the tables itself.
Halacha is.
He brings down here in the
And then they
a
move
concept
whole
that I
thing.
think might explain this.
Yeah.
He brings down a concept, he brings it from the Rishonim, he brings the Shita Mekubetzes, brings down from the Rishonim. He says, the idea that if something could not have been avoided from before Shabbos, then even the Rishonim are not, it's a regilus, this is how it's done,
That's mutter.
then it's going to be mutter. In other words, that's how you eat nuts. This is how you do
Yeah,
it. So
but why you're not allowed a guy to your house?
we don't paskin like that.
And for other reasons. Because it's not a bosses maybe,
Right?
and not because of Eitzim Graf Shrei L'Chachila. It's mashma from there that if there'll be a problem with Eitzim Graf Shrei.
In Echanami, but you'll see that, I mean, the paskin not...
I know there is a heter. I've seen the heter. I've said recently that the Eitzim Graf Shrei L'Chachila, if someone's leading his normal life like he does during the week,
Correct.
there's no Eitzim Graf Shrei L'Chachila.
And that's what, and this is from the Rishonim. In other words, this is how you do it normally. You couldn't have done it. You couldn't have prepared for it before Shabbos because that's how,
So
you,
that's how
you do it.
Okay, it could be.
Garbage is
Like garbage.
Garbage is going to accumulate. So all of these things are, the chash of Einosim.
Graf Shrei won't apply to everything.
He says doesn't apply.
Hey, so that's a pretty strong heter for everything, Kamat.
Kemat, right?
About
He
everything.
says.
Anything we do today. So that would heter for the tablecloths also.
Correct. You can see it yourself. I mean, he brings down. I mean,
They bring down that heter, then you may have the heter for even tablecloths that you cannot reuse them.
Even goes as far as saying you can have the nuts. That in other words, you can sit and have the nuts, put it on the table.
And you can have the eggs on the counter also, eggshells
He
on the
doesn't say
counter.
eggs, but he talks about nuts.
Uh-huh. You
Right,
can put it on the
peel-
table directly.
You can peel, yeah, because that's not Einosim Graf Shrei L'Chachila.
Yeah. Okay, we use the heter.
I'm just
Yeah,
explaining,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just speaking, you know.
Just garbage bags may be a heter because the only issa of Oisin Graf Shrei L'Chachila is if you know for sure you're going to have to take it out afterwards. You don't know for sure it's a garbage bag. It's not going to get full on Shabbos, you're going to leave it there. So it's not a for sure. But if you have that heter, then it's a heter for everything.
They also
Come out
talk
today.
about is a half a garbage, if a half is when does it become a Graf Shrei? Only when it's full? Because you see that people have a tolerance for a half a garbage, half a bag of garbage.
No, that's why I said the place can say, wait a minute, it's full. It didn't bother you at all, that's why I'll take it out. Open another garbage bag next to it,
Right.
and it's not a Graf Shrei. The only reason why it's bothering you is because it's full.
It's full. So
So
they
open
talk
another
about
one.
filling up like the dustbins, all these things that are full,
Yeah.
you know.
So there's a head. Most of the person give a head because the Graf Shrei is, it gets full with soya. You're allowed to empty that to reuse it. Maybe they only had one. Yeah, if you have another, I don't know. I don't know. If you have that heter, then the heter works for even the tablecloths. Okay?
But halacha l'maaseh, I mean, are people making on this? Or
On which part?
on Graf Shrei in general? Like,
People-
it seems like
people
we
are
hold by
making-
that. You
Go
know?
to
People
a
are making-
Go to a Shalom Zocher and tell me what you see.
Yeah.
What do people do when they eat when they have nuts at the
Pistachios
table?
and stuff, yeah.
Right. Pistachios. What do people do? I mean,
No, but that could be from
usually
ignorance.
you put it onto
That
a
could be-
napkin. Push straight to the table.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but I think people don't know. I mean, they
But
put
But also, Mark,
People do everything. They
any
put
nuts,
it-
all the type of things, even cherry pits, everything goes straight into a cup with a something that you can move.
Cherry pits, yeah, people put into
Stash it also.
Pistachios you just put on. But again, the idea is they put it on the plastic tablecloth,
And then
which
they
will
lift up the
get
table.
folded up and thrown in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
garbage.
So if the whole table was
If you're
full.
at home and you don't have a plastic tablecloth, you have your fine linen out.
Then you will use a plate anyway.
Then you're going to use it right anyway because it's working.
Yeah, because your wife will murder you.
You don't
That's a
have
portion. Yeah. Here, if you have the heter for everything, then then today, anytime we eat, we don't have to worry about Graf Shrei. Okay?
I tried to use that header last night to not clean up the tablecloth, but
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
Okay, but the halacha you have to know. Einos and Graf Shrei L'Chachila, you're now allowed to make a Graf Shrei. Something you end up moving the graph itself. Einos and L'Chachila. Okay, weiter. Seif. Lamed Zayin. B'mokem b'ikab seder. Mutter l'hachlitz mitasai etzel Graf Shrei. L'kvoya yeshivasai sham gedei la'itzion. So here, it's based on a Gemara. The Gemara says that by Abaye, there was a leak from the house that was going on to his mill or something,
No.
and it was ruining the mill. The leak was ruining the mill. So the halacha is, Abaye moved his bed in there, was sleeping there. The water was a Graf Shrei for him. So he put a bucket under the water, and then he threw the water out, because it was Graf Shrei. So that's moving your bed into a place, and now you have a graf sharei, so allowed to move at the graf sharei. That's like a graf sharei lechatchila. You're not allowed to go ahead and do that. But Mokum Seder, you're allowed to do that. So the head there was that his mill was getting ruined, so therefore he moved his bed in, and now he's allowed to throw the water out, catch the water, and throw it out because of a graf sharei. That was the heter. Said the Mogen Avraham, Mutar lahachas afilu b'chotzer b'makom she'ein sham dira, you're allowed to go in there and live there. L'kvoi yeshivasa k'goy mitosah lishkav aleha, v'sheyachnes sh'lchona v'yeichel sham. It has to be a thing that you are taka living there. You can't just read a book over there in 10 minutes and say it's a graf sharei. You have to move your dira there. Either your table is in there or you're sleeping there. That's called, then it's mutter. This is the gaya today. If you have a leak, air conditioning is leaking on something or someplace, and it's not bothering you because you're not living there. It's not in the room where you're living, so you're not allowed to get the water and throw it out. But you're allowed to move your shivasa there. You're allowed to go ahead and say, you know what? I made my Shabbos through here, and now that leak is bothering you.
So Hefsid itself would not be enough.
Hefsid itself.
You have the leak.
No, Hefsid itself. You're not allowed to be metaltal muktzah because of Hefsid. There's no heter for that. Muktzah is also taltal even b'mokum Hefsid. The only heter here is now becomes a graf sharei. A graf sharei you're allowed to move. So we have a leak from the ceiling.
What the heter is here is that you can displace the ein oisin graf sharei lechatchila.
Yeah, that's what you can do. Yeah. So I go ahead and make this into a graf sharei.
This halacha that says you ein oisin.
Right, you're allowed to do it to Mokum Seder.
That we're willing to allow.
Right, the Mokum Seder you're allowed to do it. So we have a leak and a half and it's ruined the carpet, let's say. You're not living there, it's not bothering you. So the room where you don't use now, it's not bothering you. So you're not allowed to take it out. The halacha is you're allowed to go into that room and say, I want to sleep there now. The leak is bothering me. So catch the water and then spill it out. Seif Lamed Ches. Machas Adam Vaydoim B'loi Kupasoi Afar Umiyachal Ken Zavius. So in those days they used dirt for a lot of different things. So you're allowed to bring in B'loi Kupasoi Afar Umiyachal Ken Zavius. Va'osav by Kol Tzuracha, where you do all your needs there with it. For Shabbos, little memeno lechasas soya, take dirt to cover soya, a roik or spit. Chayetz b'zeh. Avol lo yichud lo keren zavius. If you brought it in and you were not meyachad the keren zavius, botol agav offer abayis v'osel taltaloi, and you're not allowed to move it. Hagol l'chein mutal likach peris atmunim b'choil. You're allowed to take peris that were hidden in sand. Ki ein oisi offer muktzah. That sand is not muktzah because you meyachad it already before Shabbos to keep the peris inside. Says the Mogen Avraham Sivchatin Samachei. Film and Omar Sivchaval the boy Maisa. You need a Maisa in order to be meyachad. Hanimila midas yachalatzis b'Maisa. Something they could do a Maisa to it. Maisa echacha shetiknu l'kacha. But offer lav bar me'eved Maisahu. Shari, and therefore it's mutter even without a Maisa.
Isn't it the fact that he's bringing it in is already the Maisa? Because it's already Yuchad, he's already bringing it into the house.
That's not a Maisa. Bring it to the house, not a Maisa, because you're being offered to the house to put on the floor. It's not a
I know, but if he's doing it already, it means he's making it Yuchad. He's doing
no, it's not a Maisa. We put it down in the house, it's not a Maisa, because that's what you do, even offer that you're not going to be regular offer.
It's not for our days. It's
not a gate for our days, but no. Okay, Sifla Mates. Also, Talto Behema B'Chayiv Oif. You're not allowed to move animals, Chayiv Oif. V'Afa Pikein Mutu V'Chapos Es Asal Fnei Afrochim. You're allowed to turn over a basket in front of Afrochim birds, because they Shiyalu V'Yeduboy, you should be able to go up and down. V'Oidin Olav also Talto. While they're on the basket, you're not allowed to be metalto in the basket. So animals, all types of animals are muktzah Shabbos, and you're not allowed to be metalto them. Says the Mogen Avraham, asal taltalai, v'hay Allah ben hashmoshes. If the birds were on the sal ben hashmoshes, afapish asal apish yerdu. Even after they come off, it's asal because the migad is katzai ben hashmoshes, it's katzai l'chul yemah.
So you're not allowed to.
So that's the question. So It says of Behemoth Chayis Oifis.
What do you got?
Is it negate the pets?
Pets.
It's a negate the pets. So there's no, the Mechaber here brings down this halacha, and there's no one that gives any atayim to move any type of animal. So if we look in the Mishnah Berurah over here,
Yeah.
Sifka and Kuf Mem Vav.
You can't play the dog.
Kuf Mem Vav. Sifka and Kuf Mem Vav in the Mishnah Berurah here.
Okay.
Also, the Heim Bechla Muktzah Ke'etzim Va'avonim Talei Chazu. There's no use for them. You can't shech them. You can't use them at Shabbos. Therefore, they're Muktzah. Va'afilu im yochel agil lehefsed la'yodam v'vein she'oif perech agabi ha'kelim v'yochel ha'shavron. It's flying around on the kelim. It's going to break them. Afilu hachi also l'tavsam b'yadayim. You're not allowed to pick them up with your hands. Even though it's already a pet, it's already in your house, this bird is living in your house, the su ein by misham chashash tzeda, like we'll see later on, it's also to touch them b'yadayim.
How people play with the dog.
We'll see in a second. The Isser Tiltal Muktzah who are filled with Makam Hefsid. You're now allowed to Tiltal Muktzah even the Makam Hefsid. So the Mechaber says Allah over here that it's also to move, to touch, to move, whatever. Behemoth Chayiv Oif. Now the reason is because like Chazi. There's no use for an animal.
What if it's like a seeing eye dog?
Oh, so the place is speaking about seeing eye dogs, and they said that has a use. That has a use. You're using it to help you see it, to move around. But the question is pets. Is there any heter to move or to metaltal pets? So the Maisa most poskim hold it's awesome. To touch pets, birds, little animals, dogs, also metaltal and b'Shabbos. Why? The question is, why can't you go ahead and set it aside? You're saying, Loi chazi. It is chazi. I'm setting it aside to play with it. I'm taking this animal, and I'm setting it aside to play with it. So it is chazi now. So most of the poskim say that it's not called b'miyacherit because the use of the animal is not to play with it. Ba'alei chayim, you can't take a person and say, you know what, I'm miyachet this person to play with him. You can't do that. Because it's not his use. Baal Chaim, they have their own life. You can't go ahead and say, you know what I'm using it for? I'm using it for to play with it. You can't be miyachet for that. So you can't be miyachet Baal Chaim for playing. If that's the case, you'll never have a way of being miyachet animals. Therefore, all animals are muktzah. Most poskim hold that way. There's a tshuva brought down for a Moshe, which is in Chelik Ches, which is a question if a Moshe wrote a Bechal or not. And it says there in the Shuvah that they asked him about birds that the kids play with, if you're allowed to move it on Shabbos or not. And he said, also, and then a little parenthesis they write, Elam kein yichtam lekach, which doesn't make sense, because the question was birds that the kids play with. So the whole Shuvah doesn't really make sense. So I would not rely on that Shuvah for a Moshe if I were you, because it's not very clear that he was matter. So there are other poskim, I'll tell you straight out, there are other poskim that say that if you miyached an animal to play with, then it could be it's not muktzah.
Is the leash for a dog is also...
No, we'll see soon about the leash, we'll see soon about pulling with the leash. That's the next Seif. But to say that Baal Chaim are not muktzah, it's very hard to say that.
But a guard dog, do you like to sing eye dog? A guard dog, let's say you have a dog in your property to guard it.
I don't know.
I mean, it has a use.
I don't know, because it's not meant.
It is kind of like
but you're not miyached to touch it. You're not touching it. Seeing eye dog, you have to hold it.
You have to hold it, right?
Yeah, seeing eye dog, the use is the holding it. But saying a guard dog, the use is not the holding it.
Right. So if somebody has a seeing eye dog, say in your family,
yeah.
Anybody else would be able to do
Yeah, it's not muktzah.
Well, once it's not muktzah, it's not muktzah.
Once it's not muktzah, it's not muktzah.
So anybody can play with a seeing eye dog.
Yeah, I guess so.
But maybe the Hechsher is saying as follows: if you train your dog, like say, to bring you something, So if you've trained the dog to do a use, have a use in the house,
slippers every morning.
brings the slippers every morning.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's called.
So that would be maybe B'chad.
No, but even besides that, I think even most doctors say that, pets have,
Therapeutic.
what is it called? Like
No, but that's very
it's a beneficial effect for people's health, to.
That's what for. That's another.
But no.
Yeah, but not everybody. Kids play with dog, fucking toys for them.
No, but it's a refuah that's ongoing. It's not like he's taking special.
Yeah, I don't have to say.
They feed most
He
kids
brings
small
down
dogs.
Yigas Moshe here also
This is
about
toys.
aquarium. Aquarium with fish.
Yeah, fish are muktzah.
He says the fish not, but he says "Mkomak mutar l'tato im ha'aquarium her v'dover ha'oshel noigu."
You carry the whole fish tank.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a heter to. The sharks don't have a lot. Besides dogs, I mean, you have animals in cages. The little guinea pigs that people have.
Right.
And they let them out on Shabbos and they get back into the cage. So when you get back into the cage, you pick it up, you put it back in. Rabbits, all these things. People have a pet. It's a big shiloh. I'm not to it so easily. To Balachayim. It's very hard to find heter for Balachayim. The Chama says it's muktzah. And Mishbru is mashma, that a bird that's in the house, that knows its way around the house, I mean, it's your pet. It's staying in the house for a reason. And he says, even though it's rooted in the kalim, you're not allowed to catch it and put it back away, put it in the cage. Mashma is talking about a bird.
But that's say that, isn't it?
He says there's no problem with
Put it
Seder.
back in the
He says there's no problem with Seder, he says. He says in a case where there's no problem with Seder. So, I don't know. I know it's a very tough shiloh, especially in certain circles where people have dogs a lot, and it's a very common thing, and people play with them on Shabbos. It's not so simple that it's mutter to play with the dogs on Shabbos. But even the person that are matter are only when you yachid to play with it. And the dogs when yachid them to play with them, but no, it's in the house like another living creature in the house. That's when you yachid to play with it. So if you have a dog in the house, like another balchai in the house, then there's no heter to touch it.
Like ants. So you got ants in your house.
No, for sure it's muktzah. That's for sure it's muktzah. Ants, flies, cockroaches, all those things are muktzah. You're not allowed to take it and move it out. They give a teirim, that's I've seen the heter somewhere.
Wait. What about the wasps in your sukkah? What about the
muktzah? The muktzah, the wasp in sukkah are muktzah. You could be allowed to catch it. You could be allowed to catch it because it's a sakana. But you're not allowed, if you catch it, you're not allowed to touch it.
Look at the bottom there.
You're not allowed to kill it. You're not allowed to catch it. And now you're moving it till the outside.
If it disgusts you.
But you're not allowed.
Table.
It's not so simple. Balachayim are not so simple that that you could make them not muktzah.
The cockroach should be graf shel rei.
Yeah, so I've seen it.
They say that.
Yeah, the heter, cockroaches or something on your there's something crawling up on your jacket, right?
Yeah.
So you flick it away.
That's exactly what
right? So they say it's a heter because it's graf shel rei. Yeah.
Close the door, do not open the hole.
But the play with Balachayim,
when you touch, bring a coach, you are
they're throwing it away. They're throwing it away.
One dog.
Yeah.
I know. So she plays.
You shouldn't have pets. Is
People
that what you're saying?
Yeah, what do you do?
I didn't say that.
The dog comes and plays with you. Never mind if you don't.
That's
What
a child.
do you do?
Walk a child.
Right, you don't.
Pets are one thing, but dogs are
See, my wife would agree with that.
Kalavra. Yeah.
What about a cat?
Don't get me started. That's Hashkafa Shaila. We can speak about it different time.
That's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So next week we in.
Huh?
Next Sunday we in.
But I finished this weekend.
No, I'm saying next Sunday.
Yeah.
It's almost finished.
Very close to the table.
Continue with dogs.
Fine. It's true, it depends who you ask. I find that if you ask certain abonim, in certain circles, they'll be matter to play with dogs. But it's
the thing is, but the dog is going to come and play with you anyway. I mean, so what do you do?
It's hard. It's hard to matter it. I have to say, it's hard to matter it.
Not that I have a dog. I'm just saying, if the dog comes and starts playing with you.
Yeah, it's hard. You push it away, so you do.
There you go.
Don't
go to anyone's house that has a dog.
Okay. That's what I do.
Seif mem, Kol behem chayev oif, medadin oisam b'chotzer. So medadin oisam b'chotzer means hainu she'oichiz b'tzavora u'b'tztadin u'malichon. Im tzrichem v'alchaim l'kach. O b'vad shelo yidbiyem b'inyan she'yakru ragleim in ha'aretz. The muktzim hem v'osal taltalon. So he says every animal you'll have, if you have to move it someplace, so you have to schlep the animal. So what do? So it's called medadin oisam. Medadin oisam means you take it by its neck, or what's called a leash. A leash. Medadin is a leash. You'll have to schlep the animal by a leash on Shabbos, even though it's muktzah. You'll have to schlep it by a leash, or the other case is you hold it by the side, you push it by the side, then you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. Only. Yeah, we'll see, that's the next Seif. We'll get to that, that's the next Seif. That's a different halacha of B'no.
Yeah, altogether.
Yeah, so here, the heter is, because it's Tzar B'alachaim, it's talking about a case where the animal needs it, you're saving it from going someplace, or if you want to give it to eat, you're doing something for the animal itself, will matter, tiltal, muktzah, which is not pekulai. That means there's two types of tiltal muktzah. One tiltal muktzah is picking up the whole thing. That's also no matter what. Even for tzar b'alachaim, it's also. There's a heter to medaded it, to pull it, where it's miktsasai. It's called tiltal muktzah bit miktsasai. Partially picking it up. Partially picking it up will matter only b'makam tzar b'alachaim. So if someone wants to take his dog out for a walk, right, and has a leash, and he knows he's going to have to pull the dog, the halacha is that could be mutter. Why? Because you're doing it for the dog. He has to get out. Asar b'alachayim. Can't stay inside the whole day. So that could be a heter. But to pick it up, there's no heter. But he says, chutz b'tanei goylim, she'em edadid in oisam. You're not allowed to take chickens. You're not allowed to do that to them, pull them that way. B'fnei shemek bas, atzum and oretz, v'nimtzeh metaltol. Tanagolim, if you try to pick it up that way, they end up jumping, and you end up holding it in your hand. The whole animal you're holding in your hand. So then anyway, you come to total muktzah l'gamri. That's awesome. That's why Tanagolim are awesome. An animal which won't jump up and end up in your hand, then you're allowed to be mitzaded it, you're allowed to pull it with a leash or push it a little bit without studding. If it's lifting it up a drop. Tanagolim, you can't do that too. You're allowed to hit them from the back so they should go certain places. But to pull them by a leash or something, that's awesome.
The leash isn't the din of carrying?
That could be, but it could be it's butted to the dog. It's not called carrying. It could be it's butted to the dog. It's having to give for a leash. If you're in Rishus Rabbim, how can you hold the leash?
Yeah.
So if it's butted to the dog is really carrying it, not you. So if you look in the Mishnah Magen Avraham here, Seif Kotin Samach Zayin, V'chotza B'Rishus Rabbim Osir. This is all mutter to be in a chotzer. Sam Osir the Gazrin Hashem Yagviyam V'Yischav L'Gabahema L'Amin Chayim V'Yistes Atzmai. Chen Chotzer Rambam Perek Chet V'Loich Ash. So in the Rishus Rabbim, it's also to go ahead and schlep the dog by a leash because it was skid man to picking it up. In Shichem L'Chayim V'Chaim Dim L'Kain.
Sorry, you said before a leash should be maybe buckle and it would be mutter in the Rishus Rabbim.
If you're not pulling it, the leash is 2 pounds. One problem with the leash is that it's you're holding it.
Right.
That could be heter because it's
buckle to the dog.
Buckle to the dog. But then if you want to pull the dog with the leash, let's see you want to pull the dog with the leash.
He's talking about here pulling.
He's not pulling, yeah. He's not talking about holding the leash. He's talking about pulling it by the neck. Pulling the animal by the neck, or picking it up a little by its side.
So, I mean, the reality is that's how,
so the question is, if a leash
always have it one way.
No, so the question is, a leash the same halacha that you aser b'Rishus Rabbim because they may end up picking it up. A leash, the picking it up is much further away than picking it up an animal by its side, halfway. 2 different things. The leash may have a different heter. The medadid means here you don't have a leash. You're holding it by its neck, or you're helping it go, or you're pulling it directly. A leash, when you're pulling the animal with a leash.
In the mechaber?
Huh?
In the mechaber.
The mechaber is talking about muktzah. The mechaber is not talking about a leash.